So welcome everyone to Fearless Communicators turns 5 years old. Elevated Sparkulation. Yes. There are people, I'm admitting here. There are people who are going to be joining us as they're able. Also, we are grateful for any time that you are present to be with us here. Before we begin, we have certain traditions that we have as we jump in. The first thing that we do, and we are privileged to have our elder of our community to be present here with us. So we begin by acknowledging our elder, and also requesting her permission to begin.
Well,
so Sarita Winthrop, may we begin?
Always ask her. All right, well, I will keep you. Sarita, you're muted.
I lost the whole picture. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I'm back and so glad to be able to say, yes, let's begin. And thank you, Eduardo.
Yes, thank you, dear Sarita. We also want to take a moment. This is a tradition that we learned in Australia, acknowledging our Australian family that has made it to this call. There's this beautiful tradition called acknowledgement of country. I'm about to put a link. This was shared to me today by Surbi Lal, and it's an opportunity to actually be related to the indigenous tribe on where you stand. So if you don't know, this is a great opportunity to look, and I invite you to also plug in your address, and as we acknowledge, I acknowledge where I am currently standing, for you to locate yourself and add the name of the indigenous tribe on whose land you are standing. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge that I am standing on Seminole land here on Miami Beach, and I acknowledge ancestors, and I also acknowledge elders past, present, and emerging. And seeing Gadigal land, Mohican land, Lenni Lenape land, Turrbal land, Canarsie land, and a moment to reflect and honor tradition, ancestry, and how our traditions and stories began, which were in these communities around a fire, sharing stories, and building the fabric of everything that we live now, which is a product of stories. I also want to acknowledge in this moment that Fearless Communicators is a United States-based company, and we want to acknowledge within that context the prevalence and the existence of institutional racism, misogyny, ableism, ageism, and LGBTQ+ phobia, and the opportunity and privilege that we have to use our bodies, our voices, and our stories in the dismantling of those institutions to ensure justice, freedom, and equity for all. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce a private client of Fearless Communicators, a dear friend, Jonathan Hermida, a fellow Cuban American from the 305, who is going to be leading us in a grounding meditation to get our party started.
Thank you, Eduardo. Happy birthday to Fearless Communicators, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody all around the world. What a gift it is to be here with all of you. And as we settle into our seats, I want to invite everybody to, before closing your eyes, take a moment to gently gaze right in front of you with your eyes open, a soft gaze, perhaps using this opportunity to adjust yourself if needed, making sure you're sitting in a nice, comfortable and upright position. And begin noticing what your senses are picking up. So noticing what's in your line of sight without paying any particular attention to one thing over another. Noticing the sounds in your environment, both near and far. Feeling the sensation of the seat beneath you and of your clothes touching your body. Perhaps taking an inhale through your nose and noticing if you smell something. And engaging with your mouth and seeing if you taste anything in particular. Just becoming aware of this incredible gift we have of being alive, of having our senses. Now when you're ready, gently closing your eyes and begin tuning into your inner world in the same way that you just tuned into your outer world. Becoming aware of the different sensations in your body. Becoming aware of any thoughts that may be coming in and out of your awareness. And just as you did with your senses, not paying any particular attention to any one sensation or one thought over another. Just simply for the time being aware of all the different things that are coming and going within your awareness. Then when you're ready, let's go ahead and begin deepening our breath. Noticing the inhale as it enters into our nostrils and travels down into our lower belly. And then feel as the exhale travels right back up and out of the nostrils. With each in-breath, breathing in this new moment, this new opportunity to become present. And with each out-breath, letting go and releasing anything that will not serve you over the next 2 hours or so. So breathing in, you're becoming aware and you're opening yourself up. Breathing out, you're relaxing and releasing anything that will not serve. Allowing your body to settle more and more deeply. And allowing your mind to become more relaxed, more at ease. Continuing to breathe deeply into your lower belly. And then breathing out. This is an incredible opportunity to become intimate with yourself in a way that perhaps you haven't done so today. And so acknowledge anything within your experience that is worth acknowledging. Perhaps you're bringing in some stress or some worry. Perhaps you're wondering, how can I possibly invest 2 hours of my time when I have so many things to do? And so recognize the different levels of activity within your experience. And then as best you can, go ahead and let that go. And drop back into this moment. And into the appreciation, the gratitude of being in this space with people from all over the world. This incredible opportunity that we have to connect with each other, to learn, and to celebrate this beautiful vehicle that Eduardo created. This vehicle that has brought together people from all over the world with all different backgrounds, races, sex, religion, sexual preference, etc. What an incredible What an incredible opportunity we have. And so take a moment to acknowledge the fact that you've taken this time to honor Eduardo, to honor Fearless Communicators. And the best way you can honor Eduardo and Fearless Communicators and yourself is to be fully present while you're here. Is to be fully present as each speaker comes into the space, giving each person the one gift that we all crave and the one gift that we're all able to give. And that is a gift of our undivided attention. It is with our attention and with our deep listening that we honor the person that is sharing. And in turn, we also honor ourselves and this time commitment that we're making. And so inviting everybody to set an intention for yourself, for this space. How do you want to show up for yourself? How do you want to show up for Eduardo and for others? And cementing that intention within your heart. And then inviting you to take a moment to connect with everybody on this call from where you are right now. You may not know people's names, or with your eyes closed, be able to see their faces. But see if you can connect to the essence of each person on this call. Connect with the beauty, with the mystery, and with the magic that each person represents in their own right. And then take a moment now to receive the love that was just sent out and that was directed towards you as well. This is the gift of this space and the opportunity that we have to connect deeply with each other. So inviting you, before we enter back into this space, to take one more moment to reconnect with your breath and with your body, to find your ground again. And then when you feel ready in your own time, go ahead and take one more deep, intentional in-breath through your nose. And on the exhale, gently opening up your eyes, getting ready to celebrate. Fearless Communicators.
Yes, elevated sparkulation. Jonathan, it me that. Just quickly, I just would love an opportunity for you just to share very briefly. So we worked together about 3 years ago. Jonathan was a private client, and just to give voice a little bit, just a snippet of what we worked on and the story that we crafted together.
Absolutely. It was, my mom passed away about 4 years ago now, almost exactly 4 years ago. And my life has been guided by a sense of flow and a sense of trust in life. And the moment that I got a notification that my mom was sick with cancer, it was an opportunity to live the work that I was embodying in the most extreme way possible. And so the story revolved around that journey that I took, and the journey of reconnecting to my mom, reconnecting to my roots in many ways. And really that last year and a half of her life, really reconnecting to myself and all the wounds that were inflicted from her, and the healing that took place as a result of those early childhood traumas that I experienced with her. And so it was a beautiful cathartic speech, and I'm so grateful to Eduardo for being the doula, helping me to give birth to such a beautiful story.
Yes, thank you so much, Jonathan. Before we move into the full program, I want to acknowledge Eri Plata, who is on the call, as an opportunity to also share. We've used this opportunity as a fundraiser for the Out Foundation. And Eddie's here going to speak a little bit about the Out Foundation and give a little context of this amazing organization, which I also have the privilege of serving on the board of. So Eddie, take it away.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Yes, okay. If I can't see the screen because I have some notes up, but hello everyone. This is amazing, by the way. I didn't know it was going to be so programmed this way. Thank you for guiding us through that meditation. I loved it. My name is Eddie Plata, and my pronouns are he, him. I am currently the associate director, and actually will be the executive director in August. Our current ED is starting law school and moving into another position at our in our organization. So that's something new. So if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out to me. Fun fact, my full name is Eduardo, just like the Eduardo we are celebrating today. And I met Eduardo through the Al Foundation, and our mission is to remove the barriers that block LGBTQ+ individuals' access and participation in fitness, health, and wellness. We are fortunate to have Eduardo serve on our board of directors, providing us not only the expertise as he brings as a professional in communications, but also as a leader and friend who advocates for inclusivity and shares his own experiences with the community we serve, particularly the Out Athletes in our Out Athlete program. The Out Athlete program was established in 2019, and the program facilitates at-risk LGBTQ+ young adults with year-long gym memberships, but it is much more than just a membership. Our first cycle was so successful that we are now able to accommodate a larger group every year. It is nationwide, and as the program grows, so does our support for these athletes. We seek applicants from the LGBTQ+ community who cannot afford a proper gym membership for one reason or another, and is seeking a safe and inclusive space to be a part of a fitness community. And we collaborate with like-minded functional fitness gyms nationwide to provide these gym memberships to our community in need, as we feel this is the most trying time an LGBTQ+ person, and can be at crossroads where one fork leads to a healthy lifestyle, where one leads down another path. With all that said, our operations have taken a hit from the cancellations of in-person fundraising, which is approximately 90% of our funding. So we've been very creative with creating online fundraising initiatives to help balance those losses. And in 2021, the Out Athlete program will take a small pause for us as an organization while we regroup and assemble chapter locations across the United States, where most of our applicants come from. Currently, we have a Portland chapter, which has been incredibly successful in their area for fundraising, bringing community together, and just sharing our work, and also funding their athletes. Eduardo also mentioned our program called Out Health. So that's my baby. I actually founded it. I have a little bit of a history in health area. So that's part of our mission, is removing the barriers. So we do that by letting sure that our LGBTQ+ community, specifically our transgender community, can live their true, authentic selves. We do this by partnering up with NYU Langone Health, which is here in New York City. We offer various initiatives, such as a virtual sex education workshop, which was a couple months ago. We do quarterly surgery education classes. This upcoming year, we'll be doing micro gender affirming grants for medical care. Let me see what else we have. And then also, he mentioned a recent thing that happened in the news. So a rule finalized last month in Pride Month. The Department of Health and Human Services under the Trump administration created a rule that the federal government can no longer recognize gender identity as an avenue for sex discrimination in healthcare. And more notable, it was announced on the 4-year anniversary of the massacre of a gay nightclub in Orlando, and in the middle of Pride Month, of course. We as an organization are working on a signature campaign and doing press for ZocDoc to create a filter on their website. I'm sure a lot of you folks are familiar with ZocDoc. It's a way for you to find a healthcare provider. You kind of just input all of your information and it finds you a healthcare provider. So there's currently no filter for you to find an LGBTQ plus gender, not LGBTQ, an LGBTQ plus affirming provider, as a lot of folks do face discrimination there. Fortunately, we happen to be in New York City where there's laws against that on a local level, but still across the US, there's a lot of discrimination there. And then we have our OUTWAD program, which is our largest international initiative for bringing together LGBTQ plus athletes and allies to sweat for a cause in a safe, inclusive, functional fitness training environment. We're in 42 states and 5 countries, so that goes everywhere, but a lot of those have been canceled because, of course, we can't have in-person events. Out Athletics itself is going to be going under a new name change, which will be happening next month. And that's really for us to be able to move into various fitness spaces, from yoga, cardio, boxing, even HIIT studios, and also other sports areas, to really embrace the fitness community at large. I want to thank everybody for jumping on. I didn't realize there was going to be so many folks on this great celebration for Eduardo and his company. So thank you for donating to our cause, and thank you for attending. I appreciate it. And if you ever need anything, feel free to email me. My email is eddie, EDDIE, @iamout.org. You can also see all of our information on our website. It's at iamout.org. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for that amazing work, Eddie. Beautiful. So friends, Fearless Communicators turns 5. Where did it begin? Miami, Florida, 1986, Pinewood Acres Elementary School. I am not going to tell you that story. You're all saved. I am not going to tell the story of either Sammy the Seal or of Brooke and Brett getting married. That is not happening. That is not happening today. But we are celebrating what I call Fearless Communicators being legal Zoom official. So on July 2nd, 2015, I got a little piece of paper with an EIN number that said this was an official business. Now, the origin of Fearless Communicators did not begin on July 2nd, 2015, but it's definitely the day that became a real established thing. And I've been thinking about the journey of Fearless Communicators and where that began. And I have to begin with my grad school. So I had the privilege of going to UC San Diego in La Jolla, where all the grad actors teach public speaking. And it was in that, teaching undergraduate students, diverse undergraduate students, that it became clear to me that the way that I had been taught to speak was an intellectual exercise. And what I was getting from my grad acting program was that speaking was that, and also a physical, spiritual, and emotional exercise. And as I was teaching the undergraduates, I was really present to this huge breakthrough. I used to call it sister acting people. So they'd have like these tiny little voices. And then all of a sudden it was like, Seraphim, like these voices like would come out of them. And it was a miracle. It was like an absolute miracle. And it was so much fun. And I clocked that this would be a beautiful opportunity to create something as a parallel career to a professional actor. So there are also some actors that are on this call, people who are I want to acknowledge all the actors. Elevate Spark Relation to all the actors that are on the call, all the thespians, because God knows the theatrical community right now is really being hit in a huge way. And when I built Fearless Communicators, it was never built to be Eduardo Placer coaching. It was built to be Fearless Communicators because I really saw it as a home for actors, people who are trained to be storytellers, to be of service with their bodies and their voices to stories, that we could use those skill sets to amplify other people's voices. So the root was always to be of service to actors, to be also the facilitators. And we do have a company of actors that are here to support that. So I want to just take this moment to acknowledge Deborah Driscoll. We'll acknowledge her multiple times, but she has a background in the theatre as well. I want to acknowledge Ben Peltison, who was one of our first facilitators of the Fearless Force program. Also Emily Shane, who is on the call. Kiana Richard, I saw on as well. Kiana, who she and I went to grad school together. And then also Mark Bedard, who I think is also on the call with his daughter, who is another one of our facilitators. So that is already in alignment of the mission of creating this ecosystem for theater artists to be able to do their theater and also use their skill sets in service in a way that is also in complementing. And I also want to, Johanna de Ruyter, she's also an actress. Hi, Johanna de Ruyter from Australia. I didn't want to leave you out of the actor space. So, and the original name of the company in 2007 was Speak the Speech, which comes from Hamlet's instruction to the players, definitely not as fancy as Fearless Communicators. And there's a very famous speech from Hamlet where Shakespeare and Hamlet tells you literally how to speak. It's basically how do we call just being a fucking person, is literally what Hamlet tells the actors. And we have a little treat, which is Benjamin Peltison is going to live share with us Hamlet's instruction to the players. So we get the fundamentals of so much of the work that we do comes from this one Shakespearean speech. It is rooted in Shakespeare. So I am putting Ben on the spot. We're gonna spotlight him and we're gonna do a little Speak the Speech.
Awesome, everybody get off mute. Get off mute before I do this.
That's not Shakespeare, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah, no, he's right. It's not,
Shakespeare did not say get off mute.
So get off mute. We're gonna do a nice Fearless Communicators muff before I start this thing. And I want to hear it back at me. I'm way above upstate New York. Ma. Ma. Get it? Ma. 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 Speech. I pray you. That's great. Speak the speech. I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as some of your players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Or do not saw the air too much with your hands thus, but use all gently, for in the very torrent, tempest, and, as I may say, whirlwind of your passion you must acquire and beget a temperance that will give it smoothness. Be not too tame neither, but let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action, with this special observance, that you overstep not the modesty of nature, for anything so o'erdone is from the purpose of playing, which was and is, both at the first and now, to hold, as 'twere, the very mirror up to nature, to show virtue her own feature, scorn her own image, and the very age and body of the time, his form and pressure. Go make you ready.
Yes, Benjamin Peltison on the spot, hashtag no big deal. So I met Benjamin Peltison at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, which in many ways I consider to be my theatrical home. It was the last place that I graced the stage as an actor. Actually in a show with Mark Bedard, who is on the call, a show that he wrote. And Ben and I also taught theater in middle schools and high schools in Seattle, Tacoma area, and also in Portland. So we drove throughout the Pacific Northwest and realized that we also not only share a passion for Shakespeare and for storytelling and speaking, but we also have the same exact mother, as we would always call and our mothers would all, after our little classes at 3 p.m., and he would talk to his mother, and I would talk to my mother, and it was the same exact conversation. So thank you so much, Ben, for jumping in and giving us a little Speak the Speech. So Speak the Speech emerged and continued to be the name of the company as it was in the formative years until 2012, when there was a shift, and I pivoted it to call it Fearless Communicators, and was ready to launch into that being the moment of creating the business when I got my dream job at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, which gave me a 2-year detour. And then at the end of 2014, realized that I was ready for the next chapter. And I felt that I was called to serve in a great way that was greater than being on stage and being an actor. And I thought that if I could be at the service of people who were poised to make a difference on the planet and elevate how they show up to speak, that would feel like the perfect confluence of my gifts and my abilities and my passion. And I'm just so grateful that all of you were that. So I am just so present to the gift of all of the hugeness that each of these individuals are on this call, and the gift and the privilege of being at the intersection of the moment where your story was being calling forth to be birthed, to be shared, and to be elevated. And I can't think of any other thing that I would be doing in my life than this. And that was a kernel of an idea, which gets us to 2015. July 2nd, 2015, when in an unceremonious way, in a 4-bedroom apartment, in a room that's the size of a closet in Brooklyn, I logged on a computer and applied on LegalZoom.com for this thing to be a thing. And I got a binder that was maroon and looks very formal that told me it was a thing. And for the next 5 years, morning by morning, moment by moment, continued to step into the vision and the execution of that kernel of a passion that began years prior in 2007. So there are various ways that we are of service to people and their stories. And we're going to be highlighting some of those ways today on this call. I want to acknowledge that there's a group of people on this call who have the privilege of serving as our advisory board members. And there are 4 of them that are here. So they are Matt Johnston, they are Dan Pincus, they're Nita Baum, and they're also Tiffany Brown. And as an opportunity to showcase and share them, the request that I had of them was to imagine what we would be celebrating at a future celebration of Fearless Communicators. So Matt Johnston, who I'm going to introduce in a second, is going to speak on the occasion of what the 10-year Fearless Communicators birthday party would look like. And I met Matt Johnston through a transformation leadership program called Landmark. And we met across a table from each other, and it was immediate love. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing in July of 2015. I would wake up fully fetal, terrified to send an email, terrified to make a call, not knowing what to do. And Matt was the first person that I spoke to. And I would speak to him daily to deal with whatever those insecurities and fears were so that I could stand in my purpose and not stand in my fear. So I am always grateful for you, Matt, to be that person at the beginning. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Matt to speak about what the 10-year birthday party would look like.
Hello, everyone. And I want to thank you for being the fulfillment of something, like thank all of you here for being the fulfillment of something that was so obvious. It's obvious now, but to experience the very first moments of watching Eduardo have a sense of something and do whatever there was to do to be able to share it and to wrap his mind and his mouth around the language that made it possible for everyone to show up. And it's one of the great gifts to be able to see this kind of unfolding and how it's spreading all over the world. So I just want to say thank you to you. I have 3 things I want to wish for the 10-year anniversary. The first is really for the people who have participated in this work, that you experience being like fully responsible for your own transformation. There's something about your capacity to be heart-centered in the way you lead that's far too rare. Like far too few people have what you have. And so what it's going to take is that you thrive, that as a result of this work, you really totally thrive and you cause thriving around you. And so we'd be celebrating that, like at an individual level, that you take this opportunity of the 5-year to start imagining what your own self-expression would be, and that you allow us to celebrate that with you. So that's my wish for you. My wish, and I can hear it in the way, the second thing is that Eduardo really fulfill on the original possibility, that this work not be about him. You hear him say it, that it was like, what if I took these skills, the technology of waking this possibility up for a person, and all of the ways that Eduardo and the team have innovated in being able to have a human being kind of come in one way and out another way, leading from a really heart-centered place, that lots of people in the world have, that are delivering on that possibility. So being able to have simultaneous Fearless Force events is the vision of that. And I'm naming 1,000. That's my third wish, that we'd be here with 1,000 other people, 1,000 new people that you could drop into a conversation with the way you could with anybody on this call, and like know who you're dealing with is somebody that is living a life of purpose. So those are my wishes for the 10-year anniversary. How's that, Eduardo?
Yes. May it, it's so it is said, so it is true. So, so creating with our words and our language. So beautiful. Thank you for that, Matt. The next advisory board member who is going to speak is one of my best friends in the world. Dan Pincus and I went to the University of Pennsylvania together. We sang in the Penn Glee Club. And he was the gateway one to who I call Agent Zero of Fearless Communicators. She would be on this call, but she can't be because it's midnight in Israel, which is his cousin's wife, Steffi Knopel, which is a great name, this Chilean entrepreneur woman. And within that also, with my friendship with Daniel, had the privilege of facilitating at the Muslim-Jewish conference, and then also created a whole space of opportunities through his beautiful work that he does all over the world in interfaith work. So Dan, within that context, is going to speak about a milestone that we're going to celebrate, which will be, I'm not going to ever have this, and I don't think I'm going to have a child, but Fearless Communicators is my child. So we're going to speak on the occasion of the 13th year, which is the bar mitzvah of Fearless Communicators.
Wow, what a looking back and looking forward. This is an incredible moment. So by way of introduction, again, my name is Daniel Pincus. Eduardo and I have known each other for almost 24 years. Going back to fall of 1996, Eduardo was a sophomore at University of Pennsylvania recruiting new members to join the Glee Club. And I, as an engineering student who was already recruited to join the fencing team, did not think that I was going to be joining the Glee Club. Eduardo had me in his sights, and I was really drawn to his energy, and I think he was drawn to my bass voice. I think they were recruiting basses. So given the context of our, looking back on the 24 years of our friendship, it's been incredible. And I can say that there were moments when Eduardo gave acting his best shot, and he moved in on my couch, and we started dreaming the future. And here we are realizing the future. A bar mitzvah is an occasion. It literally means in Hebrew, son of commandments. And it's a coming of age moment when a boy or a girl reaches the age of 12 or 13, and they demonstrate to the community that they can read from the Holy Scripture, that they can understand the past, they can read it, they have access to the history, they become students of history, and they can explain it to the community. There's a moment where they're put on stage and they demonstrate, not only can they read from the Scripture, but they can explain it. They provide their interpretation, and that they assume the responsibilities that of which they're capable of fulfilling. In 8 years, we'll have hopefully passed through 2 more administrations, not to get political on this, but we are at a moment in our country where we have to assume that it is our time to be of service. Just to the world, we have a global community here. And my wish is that in these next 8 years, we all become students of history. We learn from the past, we learn from each other, that we assume the responsibility, the commandments that we are responsible to fulfill, and we will be able to fulfill them. And we'll be able to explain the history and the future to the community. So that's my wish for you, this community, and for Fearless Communicators.
Thank you so much, Dan. That is so beautiful. I want to acknowledge you mentioned, and it's a defining moment in the narrative of Fearless Communicators. So in 2012, I found myself unemployed as an actor, and I didn't have anywhere to live. And Dan took me into his home. So I stayed in Dan's home for 3 months. And it is on his couch that the business shifted from Speak the Speech to Fearless Communicators. So it is in his house that name was born. That's where I bought the website, the domain name, all that stuff happened in your home. And in your ability to provide a home for me at a moment that was very difficult in my own transitions. So thank you for that, Dan. Love you so much. So we're gonna fast forward 7 years to the 20th birthday of Fearless Communicators. I'm gonna introduce to you someone who I met, I wanna say it was August of 2015. And the moment that we locked eyes, it was pure love. I was like, who is this creature? I don't know, but I feel you, I see you, I hear you. I'm like all about it. It was just like a fuck yes. It was like immediately a fuck yes. She continues to radiate. She is an advisory member of Fearless Communicators. She is a collaborator, she's a co-creator. She's a Fearless Force alumna of Fearless Force 13. She's a dear, dear, dear friend. Nita Baum.
Thank you, Eduardo. Happy birthday to Fearless Communicators, to this entire community, and to you. I don't know how often people wish a happy birthday to the doula. So I'm gonna shift the paradigm and offer you a happy birthday. So in preparation for this conversation, I asked Eduardo a little bit about what his life was like when he was at 20, when he was 20 years old. So at 20, he was at UPenn in the Glee Club, and his birth, and Dan Pincus was integral to his Glee Club experience there. His birthday fell during one of the Glee Club rehearsals. And I think we all know that Eduardo likes birthday celebrations, or celebrations, period. But nobody remembered his birthday. And so he told me the story of the experience of having his birthday go unacknowledged. It was also a year in his experience where the way you described it to me was so beautiful, like the courage to set forth into being a professional actor, which I will interpret as giving himself permission to actually do and fulfill on his own dream and his own story for himself. It was the first time he was actually performing, the first time he was in a collegiate, or what he described as like a real musical. And his experience, as he described it from the Penn Glee Club, was one where he was immersed in harmony. He was also a Mellon Minority Fellow and focused on racial, sexual, ethnic minorities in the musical. And it was also the first time he was in an African-American space, like an all African-American space, which was part of which was eye-opening, or created some kind of shift for Eduardo. So I thought a little bit, I like to look at things through the lens of evolution, and to pick up on Dan's beautiful orientation toward the history. I thought, cool, so that's Eduardo at 20. Like, what are the themes of today? And what is, and I like to aim high and be aspirational, like what's the exponential, not linear, like value creation I can envision for Fearless by 2040? So that this vision is for both Eduardo and for Fearless Communicators as a whole. So first, I thought about music and the role of music in his life, and how generative that has been for all of us who've had the privilege to engage in his storytelling, his transformative storytelling workshops and experiences. I think we'll have passed a law requiring all members of government to sing us a musical song, a song from a musical every day, a different one though. So I think Fearless Communicators will have changed legislation in the face of government. The permission giving and self-love. This community will have healed and unleashed a level of self-love for all people, and excavated and helped undone racism against Black people, BIMPOC, and unearthed our fixation on heteronormative ways of being, so that there is a bit more love for every individual and a bit more cognizance of our interdependence for all. I was thinking about Eduardo and eldership, right? So like 20 years from now, I won't reveal your age, but I think everybody in this group knows how old you are, how young you are. So in 20 years, you will officially be an elder according to American standards. And so that made me think about the future, like your nieces and nephews, and who I've had the privilege of seeing photographs of, and videos of, and just like the joy you're gonna sparkleate out into the world. And I think your book, what's your book called, Eduardo? What's the title of your book?
From Faggot to Fearless.
Awesome. So
Fear's
your
Guide
book.
Facing Your Ultimate Fear and Speaking the Truth.
Awesome. So like whatever version of that, maybe there will be a youth version, maybe it'll be the exact version of that, but it will be in all schools, and will be mandatory reading for all kids. And then the last piece, and I could keep going, but what I wish for Eduardo, for you specifically, is that every day feels like a celebration and an acknowledgement of the massive ripple effects and movements you will have created that are as yet unimaginable, through the impact you're having every single day, through the generative quality of your outsized generosity, and through the love, joy, and celebration that you bring to others. May it come back to you manifold and then some.
Oh. Received, my God. Thank you so much, Nita. And now I just want to, you knocked on something with the birthday party at the age of 20. My love language is quality time. I'm on a hunt for my conversation about love languages. So I am so clear that all of you are really giving me the love that I really desire by being here right now. So I am just so present to the choice of all of you being in the space. Is such a beautiful gift of receiving love in the way that I'm just discovering is a way that I love receiving love. So on the occasion of our 25th, we have Tiffany Brown, who's going to be speaking about what the 25th celebration of Fearless Communicators is going to look like. My fellow exiled sister from our home, who's coming in live from Barbados.
I love it. Hello, everyone, on this beautiful and joyous occasion. I have only known Eduardo and been a part of the Fearless community for a year, but I feel so bonded to each of you, and I can truly say that because I feel you are probably some of the only people out there who know me for who I truly am. And I say that with such conviction because I remember at the age of 12, very innocently learning the concept of code switching. And that concept played out when I would visit my cousins during our annual family reunions. And I had been going to private schools at the time and would often get picked on by my cousins for sounding too white or too polished. And I learned very quickly to sort of change my dialect so that I could fit in and sound a lot more like they did, or what I felt was sort of an acceptable way to speak. And I did this, and I managed to feel comfortable doing this. And there would be different things that would happen within my academic career where I would learn to utilize that very convenient method of code switching when I felt that I needed to sound more masculine in order to be heard, or more American in order to receive benefits when I was traveling overseas. And it allowed me to mask, when needed, a part of me in order to feel accepted. And it reached a point that I began to forget exactly who I was and what I sounded like. And when I came into sort of the middle part of my career, I began to realize that I would not be able to progress as a leader, as an executive, if I didn't know what my voice sounded like. So I tried to strengthen that by doing improv classes. I even signed up for a class on actually pulling out sort of your voice for acting. And I realized the amount of work that I had to do over a 5-year period just to get back to who I remembered being at 12 years old. And so when I finally got to Fearless, having done all of that work, part of what I was doing through Fearless was really birthing who I was. And that is sort of the power that Eduardo brought with the work that he does as a doula. But I recognized that there were so many years that I just wasn't able to do the speaking of the speech because I was so busy masking who I was as a person. And so when I think about where I would see Fearless being in 25 years, it really is a return to the speaking of the speech, because I see a great mindset shift in people, a great awakening where we all recognize that who we are as individuals is enough, that we don't have to push ourselves to be more of a dominant group in order to feel accepted, that we can just be who we are and come and just do the work of being wonderful orators. And so in 25 years, as I'm sort of cruising into my elderly stage of life, I look forward to being on my rocker, to seeing the wonderful Zoom or VR, virtual reality speeches that are going to be taking place within our community, and really celebrating the speaking of the speech. I look forward to that. So that is my wish to this community, and thank all of you for that.
Yes. I mean, Tiffany Brown, way to bring it back home. Speaking the speech, landing the plane. Yes. So beautiful. Tiffany Brown and I, also, I didn't even introduce you before, but there are many things that Tiffany Brown is and many hats that Tiffany Brown wears. I had the privilege of working with her on privately on a commencement speech, which at the root was the moment where she went back to her alma mater and showed up as leader in her body to communicate and speak her truth. Then she did our Fearless Force program in Circle 13 as well with Nita, and now has been on an amazing advisory board member for us. So thank you so much, Tiffany. Just so grateful for you. I am now going to pass it on for a little palate cleanser to Johanna de Reuter. So Johanna, where are you? So there you go. So Johanna, we're going to do a little exercise. We're going to do a little fun thing. So Johanna, I'm going to pass it to you, and we're going to do a little shaky.
Okay.
As we do a little, and Johanna de Reuter is many things as well. She's also an actress. She's a public speaking coach, facilitator. She's a beautiful business called Moving Communication. She's based in Sydney, Australia. She's part of our 8th Fearless Force program. And she's also someone who is a Fearless Force facilitator in training to be leading our programs in Australasia. So with that, and it's 9 in the morning. What time is it in the morning?
8 a.m.
It's 8 a.m. It's 8 a.m. in Sydney, Australia, Johanna. And we're just so grateful that you're here with us. Yeah.
Yay. Wonderful. Happy birthday. Just loving hearing all these reflections and visions and messages. Very rich. So what the invitation is to share some messages via the whiteboard. So I don't know how many people have used the whiteboard. What I've loved about using the whiteboard with groups is that you can create like a collage together, and then it's something that Eduardo can keep. So I'm just going to explain how to get to the whiteboard and how to use it for those who maybe have not used it yet. And now, in terms of different devices we're sitting on, if you're on an iPhone, you won't be able to use this, I'm afraid. You might just have to enjoy the messages and maybe write in the chat and message, and we can put it up. If you're on an iPad, you can find it by going up to your share content. It's up on the top, or on an Android phone down the bottom, share content, and then you'll get a little pen icon you can access this through. So for others on a computer, just go up to the top to your view options and drop down the box, and you'll see annotate, and you should get this tool, toolbox line here of things you can do, like write a message. Fearless is amazing. Yes, so we've got people coming on. If you are having any problems, maybe I imagine someone's fielding the chat if you can share it. But I thought let's share some messages of what's with you at the moment. What's your vision for Fearless? What's the truth it has enabled you to speak out? So it's we're creating a collage of everything, or a lot of what is being held within this amazing container that Fearless Communicators, Eduardo, and all of us are creating. You can see there's all sorts of things you can do there. Go for it. Let's play. You can change colors over in format if you didn't know. I'm heading straight for orange.
I'm also using orange. That's me in the orange as well.
Well, now somehow I'm green, but now I'm going back to orange. Yes. Maybe the truth of what it unearthed and what you're sharing with the world through having experienced a program or coaching or whatever it is with Eduardo.
Linda Fern just wrote, "Thank you for respecting my spreadsheets." So Linda's our fearless associate, and her things are now purple. I've let them be purple and not be orange.
And we can save this and share it with the world as a part of your celebration.
I was about to write Yath Queen. Somebody wrote it before me.
Of course. I love these. They're so much fun.
And Johanna, I would just love as an opportunity for, as we're filling up this space, just an opportunity for you to share just briefly with everyone a little bit about what we worked on together, or what was your fearless story that you shared in Sydney.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So my story in Sydney is, I mean, what I loved about doing it, going through the fearless process, having come through and many storytelling processes, I loved how it brought together what I'm doing in the world and where it is birthed within my own experience. And in fact, this keeps deepening for me. The story unearthed for me was a story of shame around my sexuality and my body, and well, a story of shame, and it's the message and the healing came through my body in its different forms of pain, and also owning that, and that by owning that, it took me into a deeper relationship with myself. So where its connection for me is about listening to the body and letting the body speak. And the more we listen to the body, the more we come into, well, really, we come into our true essence. Sometimes that's absolutely chaotic, like this marvelous creation here. And I say yes to that, because out of that comes something other in how we connect and communicate with each other. I am on a mission at the moment to move away from rationality and logic into chaos and sensuality and feeling and expression. So that's my message.
That's a yes, Johanna. You are totally in the right space. That is delicious.
Thank you.
So we are going to, wrap up this. This is so beautiful. It's such a hot mess in the best way possible.
Yeah, it's very hard to stop people from playing on the whiteboard.
Once you've started,
my lesson.
If we can just save this, then we'll come back to the rest of the part. Johanna, thank you so much for leading this. We were
absolute pleasure.
Thinking of like some way to kind of break through this, and I know that you led this before in one of our virtual sessions with our Australia audience. Johanna's actually going to be our fearless chat person next week. We're going to be talking about animating Zoom presentations. So we're going to continue to showcase, and she and Deborah are leading and our fearless conversations in Australia. So we're doing a series there that happened called Moving Fearlessly. So Johanna, thank you so much for that. So we're going to pivot a little bit and share briefly about one of the ways that we have the privilege of being in the doula landscape. And that was really the origin of where our work began, which was in the service of individuals. So the being at the intersection of working with a thought leader. And there are two ways that normally people end up with us. One is they're terrified of speaking and know that they have to speak. Or two is they're people who are already speaking at a competent level, but know that there's a leap that they want to take in how they can deliver their message to be of greater impact in who they are and what they're up to. And we have two of our one-on-one clients that are here that I've invited, and we've invited to share a brief story of a way in which they have been fearlessly communicating in the midst, of course, of 3 global pandemics. So we have not only the pandemic of COVID-19, there's also the pandemic of institutional racism, and then there's also the pandemic of mental health, which nobody's talking about, which is at the belly of all of this. It's ever present. And I think it is a time for fearless communicators. So with that, I'm going to introduce the first one, which is Alicia. Alicia knew it was her. Alicia Abate was just like, pow, giving us some light. I had the privilege of working with Alicia on, for the first time, I was introduced to her through Matt Johnston, and we worked on her TEDx speech, which she gave in Ogden, Utah. And then we also had, we've worked together multiple times now as we've story doulas several keynotes that she's delivered on global stages. So with that, it is my pleasure to highlight here Miss Alicia Abate.
Hello, everybody. First and foremost, thank you all for being here. And Eduardo, happy birthday. Feliz, feliz cumple. I'm so excited for you and for Fearless and this gorgeous community that's here. And I will confess to all of you that I had something to talk about planned. And as I've heard everybody speak, I realized that that wasn't the thing that we're supposed to talk about today. The thing that we're supposed to talk about is the thing that, by sharing with all of you, puts me into that space of fearless and communicating with the moment and with what's here and what is. So this is coming in right now, ladies and gentlemen. So I am a yes. I am a yes to when the markets crashed in 2001 and I was laid off twice in the span of 2 months. Instead of looking for a job in the city of Chicago, moving down to Brazil where I didn't speak Portuguese, but figured that a place that was unknown with some potential and unknown with absolutely none, there was a chance there. I'm a yes for when I graduate from business school and the first opportunity that I have comes onto my plate and it wasn't working out, I pick up the phone and make a call to one of the world's richest men and say, you need to hire me. And I get brought on as global director of recruiting for Anheuser-Busch InBev. I am a yes to in August of 2013, walking out the door of my high-flying executive corporate job to step into the space of saying, how can I use the light in my heart to help other people find the light in theirs? And I am a yes to, in January 2017, putting everything that I own into my carry-on suitcase, into storage, save what fits into a carry-on suitcase, to push my own life to an absolute extreme of uncertainty, to learn from the people who are creating the technologies that are creating the impact in the world, and meet with people who are masters at managing change in order to find answers to this question: how might we empower success in the face of massive disruption? So when massive disruption landed in my life on March 9th, 2020, and I saw all of the revenue that I had from that point at least until June 1st get totally wiped out, I was a yes. I was a yes to, okay, I have been preparing for this for my entire life. I was born for this moment. I was made for this moment. This is my time. And so I was a yes to creating a series of talks for entrepreneurs to help them face the uncertainty that I had been practicing dancing with for so long. And in the face of this yes, and all of this yes, what I realized also for the first time in my life with such a clarity, and I realized today, this morning, but what I realized is that no is a pathway to yes. No, in a time when some of your family members refuse to wear masks and they go out into the world putting yourself, your parents, and other people in danger, a no is a yes to my health. A no in the face of open and vile racism from people who you thought were your friends and who you thought you knew is a yes to freedom and equity and empowerment for everybody in the world. A no to the ex who ripped your heart out of your chest and so violently said no to the yes that you were providing, who shows up in a private Zoom room of yours, bombing it, and you discover that he has been creeping for the last 2 years in the private spaces where you have been. The no to that is a yes to your freedom. And so I am a yes.
does. Alicia Abate. Oh my word, yes, queen to that. Fuck yes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure, elevated sparkulation, Alicia. Yes. It is my pleasure to introduce Mohammed Madaris. So I had the privilege of meeting Mohammed through a leadership program through the African Middle Eastern Leadership Project. There were 5 entrepreneurs, visionary startup founders who were being brought in a speakers bureau. And I had the privilege of working with Mohammed, and that led to several other opportunities that I'll let Mohammed share about, because there's a beautiful milestone to share, Mr. Mohammed Madaris. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Mohammed Madaris.
Yay!
Yay!
Happy birthday, Eduardo! Oh my gosh. Congrats to you, to your team. I can't believe it all started with Sammy the Seal. What a wonderful moment to celebrate with you. Your hustle, your journey in changing so many people's lives, mine included. Thank you so much. My name is Mohammed. I am a food entrepreneur who moved from California to New York to start the TED residency. And in that process, right when I pretty much landed in New York, the first 48 hours, I got the opportunity to train with Eduardo. And I think Cedric is on the call too. He was part of the same training program, so he can attest to the process. You know, it was really special because not only was Eduardo my doula, but he became my first friend in New York, who has not only just been a mentor, but also he ended up emceeing a wonderful Shabbat dinner at Dan Pincus's house. Thank you, Daniel. And I was just super lucky to be part of, to be a private client of Eduardo's, not once, not twice, but 3 times for 3 separate talks. The most recent one being a TED Talk that has, I guess, gone viral in its own way. It now has over 1 million views. So check it out. You can definitely see Eduardo's energy in that talk. And really the last couple months, you know, COVID's been tough for the food industry, for the public health community, even for peace building, all of these areas that I'm interconnected in. And being part of Seeds of Peace, I was given the opportunity to kind of speak on imposter syndrome and talk to other fellows of what that means and how to get through it. And I realized, wow, in 2 years, this is really all because of Eduardo and how he helped me take the next stage in, you know, elevating the work that I'm doing, but also helping others and being able to pass it on. So it's really, it's an incredible feeling to be able to not just you know, fully appreciate and understand what Eduardo has given to my life, but be able to go background and to help other people in the same way. All thanks to Eduardo, right? So Eduardo, I admire you. I appreciate you. I can't wait for the 10th anniversary and for many, many more anniversaries for Fearless Communicators. And most of all, I'm just thankful for, you know, our friendship and the community that you keep building. It's really, truly magical. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. And Mohammed started a beautiful company called Abe's Meat, which is meat that is both kosher and halal. And he hosts these events called Shabbat Salam, where you have Muslim and Jewish people who can actually share the same meat together, and shared events where they break bread and eat food and argue over hummus. We had Shabbat Salam show tunes where we had a beautiful celebration that erupted in spontaneous show tunitis, which was really magical. So thank you so much, Mohammed. It is now my pleasure. We're going to do another little palate cleanse. We're going to do a little palate cleanse. And we're going to do this with a dear friend, collaborator, person who's been at Fearless Communicators almost from the very beginning in New York in 2015, 2016. She has entertained at various Fearless Force programs, and she's also a Fearless Force participant. And that is my dear friend, Jess Grippo, a dancer extraordinaire, who's gonna have us do a little movement, embodied movement, as we move through some of our physical relationship to fear and walking through the fire and all of that jazz. So I'm gonna spotlight Miss Jess Grippo. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Jess Grippo in dance, of course. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so honored to be part of this community. I'm just sitting here listening to everyone like bursting. And so I'm so happy that we get to burst together.
Elevated sparkulation.
Thanks for dancing. Thank you,
Divine
Eduardo.
Jess Grippo. Oh my God. Ah, everything. Woo. Okay, let me get my heart rate.
We should now meditate too.
Now just do it. Now just do it.
Breathe.
Breathe. Yes. So it is my pleasure as we move into this next space to talk about what I believe is really the heart of our Fearless Communicators work, and that is the Fearless Force program. And for that, I'm going to introduce our stage mother, our Fearless Force associate, our Fearless Force co-facilitator, and our original member of our first Fearless Force program, the incomparable Deborah Driscoll. Yes.
Oh, wow. Like the thing I'm most present to, I'm feeling really emotional. Like all day, I haven't been able to rest. I even tried to take a disco nap so I could be fresh for the call and the party, and I just couldn't rest. So there's been like an excitement, and now I'm just feeling so many feelings. And so much of that is connected to what we've already experienced, but also what is held in my body and in the stories in my mind that circulate around my heart, and how myself and Eduardo speak into our shared humanity as we share the stories of our Fearless Force participants. When it began, I didn't know Eduardo. I didn't know anything about Eduardo or Fearless Force or any of these things, but I was invited to participate. And it began with myself, 7 other women, Eduardo and Ben, who we all saw at the beginning of the call. And we all set off on a journey of creating what is now the Fearless Force program. So we start with 2 coaches figuring out what they're doing, 8 women who have come and just said, yeah, okay, I'll be in the pilot. And we now are 4+ years later with over 100 women, which is over 100 amazing women and their stories and their thought leadership over 3 continents. And this is only just the beginning of the potential for Fearless Force, because there is so much more, because we're now fueled by this family. So yes, I am the very, very proud stage mother. And Eduardo is our story doula. I also call him the dad. He's a bit like the dad. And we love and care for our Fearless community. Everybody. And the Fearless Force women, there's a special spot in my heart for the Fearless Force women, because I am your mother, and I know you all have mothers, but I am your stage mother. I will always be in the wings. I will always be your champion. And so in that, I just want to celebrate all of the amazing, beautiful Fearless Force women that we have on the call. If we can just get a little bit of like movement from our Fearless Force women. We've had 19 circles across the world, and we're just getting started. And what that means is that we've set off over 100 fires. So what we do with Fearless Force, with what we do with Fearless Communicators, is we help people to get into their body, into their mind, connect to their heart, and then speak into that shared humanity. And what that means is that they face their own fire, which for some people is the fear. For some people, it's their truth. For some people, it's their bigger dream or the change that they want to make in the world. And we help them to not just walk through that fire, but dance or stomp or scream or whatever they need through that fire, because then on the other side, they're bigger, better, and stronger and can speak powerfully about what they're up to in the world. And so I bless every single member of our Fearless Force community, our past, present, and emerging. I bless you all, and thank you for trusting Eduardo and myself and all of the other coaches that we have. There's Ben's also on the call with us, and we also have trainers with us at the moment who are stepping up to their own fire. I bless you all so much for trusting us and to trusting your own selves and your own fires and walking through that with us. And it's my pleasure as your stage mother to share with you today two of our Fearless Force women who are just going to share a little piece with us. We have two. We have Jessica Robinson from Circle 13, and we have Sarita, who is our esteemed elder, who was with us just at the beginning of this year, just before everything started to close down with Circle 18. So I'm going to first invite Jessica Robinson from Circle 13 to please share just a little bit of an insight and a bit about the fire of Fearless Force.
Thank you, Deborah. And it's such an honor to be here at this moment, celebrating Eduardo and this entire Fearless family, and really just what has been created. And as I was thinking about what it is that I wanted to share today, I thought back to when I first met Eduardo. And I was actually part of a fellowship program with Eileen Flanagan, who is also on the call today. And Eduardo came in to teach a workshop for our fellowship program. And I remember thinking, this is exactly what I want. I want to continually express what is inside me and to be able to fully find the words that for me speak my purpose with love and my work with security into the world. But not just in a way that I understand it or that it feels good for me, but in a way that it's received by people and it really feels good for them. And we had an opportunity, Eileen, myself, and another participant, to do this initial workshop with Eduardo and then present like a 5-minute speech, and it was wonderful. And then when Eduardo came back with an opportunity to work with him again, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I immediately thought, oh, I just kind of paused for a moment, but I just thought, yeah, this is kind of like, there's no need to think about this. It makes sense to continue the journey. And one of the things that I was struck by, really starting on this process of going through initially Fearless Force 12, and then going back through and having the opportunity to be part of the recent cohort that also had the opportunity to present virtually, is that I feel like though Eduardo's a doula and Deborah's a stage mom, I feel like they are really throat activators, throat chakra activators. And though I think all parts of our body are obviously activated or triggered by something, so there's an awakening of something within all areas of our body, I think that when you speak truth to power, there is a birthing that takes place within the chakras that doesn't allow you or your vibration to go back to the way it was before. And I think that's part of the power of this community and the work of Eduardo and Deb through this program. And for me, what I can say is working with them has been wonderful to be able to really not only find the words that are important for me to be able to share and for me, and have my own experiences of activations and healings as well within myself, but also to just be seen. And I think that what to me seems to be a theme tonight as well, whether it's Tiffany and what she said, and comments as well within the chat, is that this is, to me, as a community where you can show up and be fully seen. It's yes and. There isn't a no, that doesn't work here. And so for me, who came in initially in one face of who I am, which is a cybersecurity expert, but to feel safe enough. And so thank you, Eduardo and Deb, for creating a container of love and safety. I have to say that. Where I can go, oh wait, but I actually have this other part of my business that really focuses on security and love, and cybersecurity is love. And okay, yes, and bring that in. And then there's this other part of my business called Consciously Secure Living that I've been working on for years, and I really, really want to bring and continue this work around inner security for leaders so that they can think about how to bring their full selves into their workplace or wherever they are, so they can create outer security for others. Yes, do that. Yes, okay, that's welcome here. And then with my own focus on spirituality and racial justice, and really just the opening that I think that we all felt with what's been going on the past I would say 6 weeks specifically, with the Black Lives Matter movement, to be able to speak my own personal truth to power as a Black woman in this community, and for that to be fully received has been phenomenal. And again, not all spaces allow for the voice of all aspects of one's being. And I love the fact that I feel that I can do that here. And so I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity to fully express who I am in this space as a Black woman. And also for Deborah and Eduardo to also give me the opportunity of grounding and our Juneteenth celebration, which was wonderful. Because for me, this work is spiritual. All of this work that I do here within my business is a calling, and it is led spiritually. And for me, the work that's done around ancestral healing is really creating a sense of security through the freedom that we feel when we are healed. And to be seen and to be able to live in all of these areas within this community is priceless. Because there isn't, I don't know other communities where all of this can coexist, and nothing kind of put to the side, but all can be seen. And I think that is the gift. And when I think about this incredible community, the fact that there's multiple people here that are doing the same thing, it is the most incredible thing to witness it, and to affirm and to love every single person showing up in all of the different phases that they are and all of who they are. And one of my favorite quotes is by Oprah, and she said that it is our job, it is our purpose to live and be the fullest and deepest, live at the fullest expression of who we are in this life. And though I think that's a journey, and that we do that more and more every day of our life, I think the gift of that is when you can be received living the fullest expression of who you are in this life. And for that to be happening in this community with Eduardo and Deborah, I am just forever grateful. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Jessica, thank you so much for speaking about so many aspects that I feel and know to be Fearless Force, and speaking so beautifully for our community. And I just want to say there's something really beautiful about all of the threads of love that happen in the Fearless Force community. Because a part of my role, which is one of my favorite parts, there's lots of favorite parts, is that I get to stay engaged with all 100 plus women as a community, and seeing the new relationships that build across cities, across circles, and the ways that the Fearless Force women support each other, yes, in business, yes, in thought leadership, but also as a woman, or as a mother, or as a sister, or as a lover, or as a human who is just trying to be okay. In all of the ways that the Fearless Force women turn up for each other, I am there for it, and I am proud to be your mother. And thank you, Jessica, so much for bringing in so many threads of love in what you just shared with us. I am forever your champion.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, and I am yours. Thank you.
And now let's move to the next love affair. So we were in the Hudson Valley presenting a program that we didn't realize we were going to present. It was our 16th circle, and Matt Johnson, who we heard from earlier, he came to the 13th circle and said, I think we need this in the Hudson Valley. And so Eduardo said yes, and then he told me and I went, okay, yes. And then it happened, because that happens with fearless communicators and when people are saying yes to love and stories and truth and fire. And in our audience was Sarita. And in the intermission break between stories, she comes up to me and she says, I want this. I think this is what I want. This is what I think I've been looking for. And I said, okay then. And then there, in that moment, she signed up for one of our future circles. And we were lucky enough to spend time with her and invite her into our community in February of this year. And Sarita is now our beloved elder. And now we all get to share in Sarita and her love. So Sarita, please take the floor.
Oh, thank you so much. I am very, very honored to be able to talk to all of you tonight. My son called me yesterday and said that he finally, with his publisher, had found the title of a book that he's just written. And the title is The Power of Giving Away Power, How Great Leaders Learn to Let Go. And I thought I just had to mention that because I'm so impressed by all that you have done with Fearless Communicators, Eduardo. So my first introduction was the one that Deborah just mentioned in Rhinebeck, New York. I was amazed to find that I knew two of the participants, Hélène Lesterlin and Kelly Jennings, and then to meet a third, Jennifer Thayer, who turned out to be someone I'd never met, but who was a cousin in two different ways. After the first half, as Deborah said, when she said that we could sign up and be a participant, I knew I had to do this. So I committed to that February 2020. My video was about my lifetime struggle with severe eczema. I ended up sending the video to the head of the National Eczema Association because a friend of mine said, well, why not? I mean, it's all about your struggle with it. And she, the head of it, Julie Block, said, could I be interviewed and have my story be in their newsletter? So apparently my story is going out this month and will hopefully be of some help as I look back at my illness through the lens of body, mind, and spirit, which is part of what Eduardo helped me get the structure for my talk. That first Saturday night at the restaurant, I sat next to Jen Grace, who's published Your Purpose Press. A few weeks later, Deborah had me talked with her, and I just finished Jen's 14-week author's course, which I've now said is going to help me have her publish a book about my spiritual journey. I'm giving myself 4 more years so that I hope to surprise both my 4 children and my grandchildren with a book when I turn 80. One of my wonderful fellow participants during that weekend in February was Siobhan Clare. And she told me she wished to introduce me to a dear friend of hers who then introduced me to someone named Sandra Lamb. Now, you may not know Sandra Lamb yet, but I want to tell you, I met with her this morning, and I think it would be an example of synchronicity that it's the same day that I get to tell you about her, because she is a channeler, and she introduced me to my spirit guide. That guide talked to me while Lysandra was in a deep trance. She channeled this guide for me. It was so life-affirming and wonderful. If you wish to know who yours is, just go to asandra.com and you can have that opportunity. I found out that I'm meant to write a book about my vibration being raised. This is what my passionate desire has been since taking Eduardo's Fearless Communicators program. Who knew I would have a profound spiritual awakening? My gratitude for Eduardo is deep, and so too is having Deborah shower mother love on all of us. So thank you. It's been a wonderful experience.
Oh my God, so much love.
Ah, so much love. Thank you, Sarita.
You're so welcome.
And again, I just want to say I'm sending it out into all of the ethers that all of the stories that we have been privileged to be a part of, to work with, to nurture, care, and see come to life in front of audiences through the Fearless Force program live within our whole community, but they live so closely and deeply with Eduardo and I, to the point where we talk about our fearless women all the time. We're quoting you all the time. We're pulling out the themes of your stories. We're connecting your stories to other stories. So for all of our Fearless Force women, you are so with us all the time. And you also have inspired us in so many ways. And it's every single Fearless Force woman who has helped us to shape the program to being as awesome and amazing as it is now. So thank you to all of our Fearless Force women. And Eduardo, thank you for starting it. Thank you for seeing that women needed more spaces to turn up powerfully to speak. And thank you for deciding that you were going to be the person who was going to make that space possible. Because you have made that space possible for more than 100 women. And we're going to be moving into the thousands. And we're going to be in more continents. And there's going to be more fires. And you started it. You started this fire. And we thank you for it. Our story doula and our dad.
Dad.
Yeah.
Yes. I can be the Deborah, thank you so much. It's a beautiful tribute to fully trust the program, such that I didn't speak about it today, but gave you the space to hold the space for the program, because I know that it is as alive in your heart as it is in mine. And thank you for your partnership. Thank you for holding this vision. Thank you for pushing me. Many of you don't see, or most of you don't see when Deborah is kicking me into gear, you know, or I'm kicking her into gear. But it really is, you are all the fuel. And it's such a privilege. So thank you so much.
So there's just a stage mum thing, actually. So there's something happening in the background that I need you to know about, Eduardo. So it's not just you, it's not just me, it's not just the advisory board. You have built a whole team. There is a whole team at Fearless Communicators. It started with you and now there's so many. And so now I'm just going to take a little moment to take the screen, and I'm going to ask everybody else on this call, except you, Eduardo, everybody else on this call to please turn your video off. If we could all take our videos off. Thank you. And Eduardo, your Fearless team would like you to know that we fearlessly love you.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, you invited everyone you knew.
Oh my God, that's everything!
There's more, there's more.
My dearest Mr. Fearless, thank you for bringing the fearlessness out in me and in yourself and bringing all of the fearlessness and love that you do to the world. And thank you for being you and for being my friend. I love you. Congratulations.
My dear, dear, dear Eduardo plus Air. There's so much that I could say about you. We've known each other for so long. But honestly, what's on my heart is that I love you so much. And you are one of the most amazing people that I know. And I am beyond blessed to have you in my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you.
I just want to acknowledge all of the voices, stories that you have opened up in the past 5 years through the power of the Nell warm-up series. Here for it.
My dearest pal and confidant and brother from another mother, thank you for being a friend. I wish you the most incredible, magic, joy-filled, fearless anniversary ever. I love you to the moon and back. Thank you for gifting me with your joy and your presence and your friendship.
Eduardo, you lift people up and spread sparklation everywhere you go. How lucky we all are to have you in our life. Thank you for everything you do.
Yay! Oh my God!
So everyone can come back on now. We just needed that off so we could get the thing going. Happy 5 years from the Fearless team, Eduardo. We love you so much.
That
It
was
was so much fun doing something that you knew nothing about.
I knew nothing about that. Was a total fucking surprise. I was like, mouth on the floor. We are nearing the end of our gathering, and I want to mark two things. There's a little thing that we're going to do as a kind of a ritual close. That'll be a new ritual close, and then I know that one of the things that we had hoped to do was create spaces for people to connect. So when we reach 7, we'll open up breakout rooms. So for people who choose to informally connect and find opportunities, if people feel like connecting, we'll create that. We've, you know, it is a team. So obviously, you know, Deborah, our advisory board, Matt, Dan, Nita, Tiffany. I want to acknowledge Linda Fern, who's joining us from California. She was like the first person who appeared and was like, I want to help you. I'm retiring and I want to help you. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm going to help you. And the various ways in which we have found the space to, she's worn many, many hats, and the space that she really anchors is a part of our business, which we don't really advertise, which is our MBA interview prep piece, which frankly is one of the things that's been sustaining us throughout this entire pandemic. Linda, thank you for your partnership and for saying yes and for telling me to not touch your spreadsheets. Our facilitators, Ben Peltison, Emily Shane, Kiana Richard, Mark Bedard, Johanna de Reuter, all the people who are in the Fearless space, who are stepping into the spaces of story doulaing and acknowledging people and their stories. Morgan Olson, who is about to give birth. She is carrying baby. Baby is coming in August. And for also being a participant in Fearless Force 14, and then also being a huge ally in helping create the opportunities for us in our corporate offerings. And then also one of our newest additions is Lori Fitzmaurice, who out of the kindness of her heart has chosen in pandemic to volunteer her brilliance and her generosity in helping to operationalize the back ends of our Fearless programming. Our Fearless Chat series, which originated as an opportunity, one, to be of service to our communities and create a platform for our fearless women. We've yielded almost 30 chats since mid-March. We've had an increase of over 1,000 people in our fearless community at that. And it's been a beautiful opportunity to be of service. We've also raised funds for Lend a Hand Uganda, which is Amy Noel's nonprofit, for Girls on Fire Leaders, which Eileen Flanagan is here. We raised, I think, $1,500 for the Dooney Fund through our Juneteenth celebration, and we raised $1,000 for the App Foundation today. So even in the midst of all of this hardship and pain, and there's still a space for generosity and still a space for love and still showing up in a space of service. I also want to acknowledge Surbi Lal, who is here, who wears many hats. And there's so many hat wearers in our fearless community. One space that she also holds, which is dear to us, is in Luminary, our partner in New York City, and a woman's co-working space. And the ways that they partnered with us on the Juneteenth celebration and immediately said, that is our story, that's where we want to be, we're in alignment with that. And I love that she wears a Luminary hat and she also wears a Fearless Communicators hat, having participated in Fearless Force 18. And I see all of you here, and I love all of you. And I'm just so grateful for the various ways that we've had the privilege of being of service to you, in the various ways that we have the privilege of being of service to you and your stories and the ways that you show up for us. So we're going to do something new. We're going to try a little something new here as our little close. And I'm going to teach you all a song. And I'm going to teach you all a song, and the song is in Spanish. And I'm going to sing it once, and then we're just going to sing it a couple times, and we'll do it off of mute first as we kind of get our flow with it. And then we will see how we kind of enter the Zoom shit show of all being on together. And this is a song that has appeared several times in my life. The first time I heard it was in Soul Camp, which is a beautiful sleepaway camp for the mindfully conscious human. And I was gifted with the opportunity to be the MC of their talent show. And it's something that I resisted. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be the lamest thing ever. And instead, what I said is like, I'm not interested in an experience that's selfish. I'm interested in an experience that's generous and generative. And if people have the opportunity to stand on a stage and offer their talent as a gift, and offer that to community, for the community to receive and then acknowledge the beauty of that sharing, that is a sacred ritual and a sacred practice that I can get up for. And this dear friend, this man who's now a dear friend of mine, who's a shaman, began the event by singing the song. And it is a song that has now accompanied me in various spaces, and it's very simple. So I'm going to start it, and then we're going to build it out. So it goes like this. Porque te quiero tanto, porque te quiero tanto, 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 porque te quiero tanto, con todo mi corazón. And what that translates to is because I love you so much, because I love you so much, so much, so much, because I love you so much with all of my heart. Okay, so now in wherever you are, we're just going to break it up. Porque te quiero tanto. So sing that with me. Porque te quiero tanto. Then, porque te quiero tanto, tanto, tanto. So here together. Porque te quiero tanto, tanto, tanto. Then, porque te quiero tanto. Together. Porque te quiero tanto, con todo mi corazón. Con todo mi corazón. Okay, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it once again, and then we'll build from there. So here we go. Porque te quiero tanto. Porque te quiero tanto, tanto, tanto. Porque te quiero tanto, con todo mi corazón. I invite you to put your hands on your heart and offer this as a prayer to yourself. Porque te quiero tanto. Porque te quiero tanto, tanto, tanto. Porque te quiero
tanto,
con todo mi
con todo mi corazón.
Yes, Ali is giving some harmony. Yes. Look at people on the screen as we look at each other and we sing it to each other. Porque te quiero tanto. Porque te quiero
tanto, tanto, tanto.
Porque te quiero
Quiero tanto.
con todo mi
Todo mi
corazón.
corazón.
And now everybody off of mute. This is going to be a total disaster. All of our voices. Doom be damn. 5, 6, 7, 8. Porque te quiero
tanto.
Porque te
Que te quiero tanto, tanto, tanto. Porque te quiero tanto.
Con
todo mi corazón.
Yeah. Cedric, show us your daughter. Cedric, show us your daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cedric Noir. Cedric, show us.
Sorry, I've been hiding, but I had to show up for this one. It touched me in the bottom of my heart. But here is Kilani. She's 5 months old. Yeah.
Hi. She's a future Fearless Sports participant.
Absolutely. Sign her up.
So good to see you, Cedric.
Good to see you too.
As an opportunity to close our circle here, we have a beautiful tradition that Johanna taught us, where we will go around and identify and see each other and thank each other, and that will close out our 5th birthday party. I know that there's so many things going on. There's so many places that we can be. I am so grateful for all of you who chose to celebrate this milestone with us. It is not a me, it is a we. And I'm so honored by all of your courage in all the ways that you show up to fearlessly communicate who you are and what you're up to. And the beauty of that is all of the ways that you show up to communicate is of service. So you are selfless, fearless communicators. There is a message, there is a commitment, and there is a healing in your voice and in your story. And we are so honored to hold that in the various ways that we have the privilege and the many ways that we have to hold you and hold your story as you continue to emerge and transcend in your greatness and in your gifts. So thank you so much. And now, for those of you who've not done this before, you're going to see how this operates. And then if everyone can just raise their hand so that we can see you. You say, you're going to see someone, you're going to acknowledge someone's name, you're going to say, I see you, and then thank you. And then you're going to pass it on to somebody else. So Eileen Vasquez Thornton, I see you, and thank you. Did we lose Eileen?
I think she just, I think that.
There we go. There you go. Sorry. Now what do I do?
Oh.
So you see and thank somebody else. So you choose somebody else and you say, I see you and thank you.
Nita Bam, I see you and I thank you.
Eduska, I see you and I thank you.
Shoot, mute first. Kiana, I see you and I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Emily, Shane, I see you and I thank you.
Valerie Lyons, I see you and I thank you.
Linda Fern, I see you and I thank you.
Johanna, I see you and I thank you.
Eileen Flanagan, I see you and I thank you.
Deborah Driscoll,
I see you, and I thank you.
I see you and I thank you.
Eduardo Placer. I see you and I thank you.
I don't know what that background noise is, but there's some story that's going on that's amazing, and I don't know what that is. And the ice cream man sound was epic. I was like all of a sudden in kindergarten wanting something yummy. So if you've already gone, if you can lower your hands so we can choose somebody. Okay, Lisa Snow, I see you and I thank you.
Jess, I see you and I thank you. Jess Grippo.
Jenny Suyad, I see you and I thank you.
Jessica Robin, I see you and I thank you.
Thank you. Jacqueline, I see you and I thank you.
Jessica. So Ruby, I see you and I thank you.
Alina, I see you and I thank you. Alina? Alina.
I figured no one knew how to say my name.
Alan.
Alicia, I see you and I thank you.
Ali, I see you and I thank you.
Who has not gone? Lori, I see you and I thank you.
Thank you, Allie. Sir, I see you for the second time today, which is such a gift, and I thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Let's see.
I think we have Cedric and Dan Pincus.
Okay. Dan, I see you and I thank you.
I think it may be Cedric. Serby.
Okay. Dan, I see you and I thank you.
So I don't think Dan is on anymore.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna so Serby, we're gonna take it back one. I'm gonna have you acknowledge Cedric, and then Cedric, you get to acknowledge and thank us all, and you get to show us your beautiful baby again.
Cedric, I see you and I thank you.
Okay. Hello everyone. I see you all and we thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. He's grumpy today.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of our Fearless Communicators 5th birthday party. I can't wait till this opportunity to be physically in space with you. And for now, the virtual space I will take. So thank you so much. And if people do choose to want to stay, if people have to go, we totally get it. We're a little bit over. If you want to stay and chill in here for a moment, we can also stay and chill. So we're going to keep the room open. Okay?
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Emily. Bye, Ben. Johanna, you're welcome to sit. Hi, ladies. Hey.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
Hello. Hi, hi.
Ever. Jenny, how are you and the babies?
I have alone time right now. It's crazy.
Aww. Jenny, it's good to see you. It's been so long.
I'm like whispering though because I don't want them to come.
He has three. He has 3 beds. Hi, Hi, Lisa. This is your first Fearless Communicators experience.
Awesome. What a great party.
Thank you, honey. I
Oh,
met
yeah.
Lisa at BNI. Do you want to share a little about what you do so that people can get related?
Yeah, it's awesome to meet all of you guys. I own a personal training company that has done house calls for the past dozen years. So, you know, as an athlete growing up, I had all of these teammates who were in incredible shape, who had very, very unhealthy parents. And it was just so sad to me to watch people feeling like fitness was for somebody else. And then as an adult, in college and then working on Wall Street, I saw the exact same thing, right? Everybody